Because it's not, yeah, because it's not going through.
Okay, Ms. Najah, we'll put you on, so just take over whenever you're ready.
All right.
All right, hold on. God is spoken. So let the church say, when I'm up, when I'm down.
All right. We are getting ready today. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast, and good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast, and to everyone in between. I'd like to welcome all of you beautiful people to Ahead of the Crypto Curve, your go to show where we break down the good, the bad, the ugly, the bullish in the world of cryptocurrency. And this is tailor made for our community. I'm your host, Najah Roberts, and it is my mission in life to lead my people out of financial slavery on this virtual underground railroad. I don't just do this show to change the way you think about money, but to make you change the way you look at money and everything else around you, because it absolutely matters. Today is Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, and what an incredible, incredible day it is. There is a lot going on, but before we jump into it, today's show is urgent and it is real necessary, ladies and gentlemen. But we have to say happy birthday to all of you who have had birthdays this week, and happy birthday to my little sister, Regina, whose birthday was yesterday on June 21st. And as you all know, June 21st marks the first real day of summer. And so, happy summer to each and every one of you. Happy birthday to those of you who have birthdays. And as you all know, yesterday, the United States launched airstrikes on Iran and their nuclear facilities. And there's a lot going on with that. And while the missiles were flying, Bitcoin and the entire cryptocurrency markets were dropping. And so we're going to talk about what that means for our community, what that means for you. If this is time for you to purchase, we always say when the price goes down, we're not excited about it. We are ecstatic because we rather buy it in the dips. And so this is one of those times where Bitcoin is definitely on sale. It has dropped below $100,000, and that means great things for us. So as we look at that, we are going to talk about why that is and how we take advantage of this market. And the other thing I want to talk about, and really just kind of go over a quote. And in my office, anybody that's been in my office knows that in my lobby, I've had a picture, and it was a picture of the White House, and it was a picture of a Bitcoin, and it says drop Satoshis, not bombs. And who would think that almost 5 years later that I would really be saying it's time to drop Satoshis and not bombs, because there is a lot going on in this space. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we need to find out what this bomb dropping means to us as crypto investors. But I have to preface what I'm going to say about the decentralized finance space. And I really just need to back up and continue to say everything that I've been saying in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to prepare ourselves. It is time for us to become preppers. We're prepping ourselves for what is to come in the financial market, but we also need to be prepping ourselves for what is to come in our physical lives, in our everyday lives, in our food lives. And we've been talking about these things for a while. And so a lot of this is not new to those of you that listen to me. I have been saying prep, but I am going to start this show with giving you a message that I gave my family yesterday, because we don't know what is going to transpire. You know, you have to think about something. There has not been a world war since it's been about 80, almost 80 years. And so there's only one person I know that has been through another world war, and that is my grandfather, who's now 100, about to be 101. And so when I think of that, I have to say that none of us are even remotely ready for what may transpire, if not if, because we're already in the thick of it. As these times progress, I'll just say it that way. And the next 72 hours is absolutely critical to a lot of things. We have to find out what the retaliation is going to be, how people are going to act out, the civil unrest, and all of those things. But one of the things that I told my family that you can do to be prepared, of course, is just continue to stack up on non-perishable goods and water, and make sure you got a full tank of gas, because we don't know exactly what is going to happen. We don't know in what shape, form, or fashion things are going to play out. And so when you have uncertainty, you do everything that you can within your power to make sure that you're doing something and not just sitting there thinking that this is going to go away. So that being said, today's show, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin, bombs, and unstable markets. So when we come forward, we'll continue the conversation. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
More with Najah Roberts as we get ahead of the crypto curve on KBLA Talk. We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams. My best advice, if you get a phone call.
All right. So we are on our commercial break. My radio equipment decided not to work today, so I am doing it via telephone. So this is an interesting situation. And so I'm pretty sure like I got to get ready. I got to get ready. You got to get ready. We've been talking about this for a very long time, ladies and gentlemen, preparing ourselves. So I apologize today for you hearing my radio show, my commercial, but I am on commercial. But when we come forward, we'll continue talking about what we're talking about today. I appreciate each and every one of you. I have a birthday celebration coming up, which I gotta remember to tell everybody. Those of you that are in Los Angeles, come out, join me, have some fun.
So don't worry. Get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated, you can skip the lotion after.
All right. We are going to get back and jump back in just a few minutes. Again, welcome to Ahead of the Crypto Curve. We started off a little rough today because my radio equipment went out. And so I got to see what is happening with that. But I'll do that on my long break. But we're jumping back in just a second.
This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, Miss Najah?
Yes, sir.
After this commercial, we're on.
All right, thank you.
All right.
3 great options for you. First, Angelo's has workforce centers across the area offering free job support.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Ahead of the Crypto Curve. I had some technical difficulties, as I always seem to, so I just have to smile when things like this happen. I am broadcasting live on the radio through the call-in line for folks who have questions, just because it just is. My equipment is doing what it wants to do today, and I don't even know if it's my equipment or if it's the transmission, but we'll get to the bottom of it. But we're going to do this show by any means necessary, so stay tuned. We are going to get going in just a second.
All these services are free to help you get your next job. It's the community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Ahead of the Crypto Curve with Najah Roberts on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, welcome forward, welcome forward, welcome forward. So as I stated before we went into those beautiful commercials, Bitcoin is under $100,000 right now. The cryptocurrency markets have dropped as a whole. So that means if you're holding XRP, Ethereum, whatever you're holding right now, those cryptocurrencies have dropped. And we'll talk about what it looks like on Coin Market Cap in a little while. But why is this happening? Whenever geopolitical instability hits, investors do what is called risk off, RISK off, risk off, and they do a risk off move. That means they pull their money from anything that is volatile or uncertain. And y'all know cryptocurrency is still viewed by many as the wild, wild west of investing. So what's happening this weekend, or what just happened yesterday with our military, wasn't just military, it was monetary. Capital flew out of Bitcoin, it flew out of Ethereum, it flew out of altcoins. Bitcoin dropped over 8% in the last 12 hours, and Ethereum followed. Altcoins, some of them lost between 15 and 20%. So, what's the connection between war and wallets? Why do we always see Bitcoin dip during global conflicts? So first of all, I want to make sure that you all understand what geopolitical instability is, because it's important for you to know this because of who we have in office and what we have that is transpiring. There's going to be a lot of geopolitical instability, and it refers to a state of heightened risk and uncertainty in international political landscapes. And you all know that Bitcoin is international. It's used around the world in many different places. So it's not just the people in the United States that are causing the prices to go up and down based on their usage, but all around the world, El Salvador, Europe, Sweden. You name it. And that is where Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are being used. But the geopolitical landscape is often characterized by factors like political unrest, and there's going to be plenty of those that come along. Conflicts in whatever region. Conflicts is really important. Trade disputes. And when I say conflicts, let's think back to the Ukraine and the Russian war, when United States told Russia, cut it out or you won't be able to utilize our money. Not so much like that, but Russia said, oh, it's okay, we got cryptocurrency. And so as these different shifts happen and the manifestations increase in the tensions between nations, shifts in power and dynamics and all of those things, all of these disruptions to the global trade and supply chains have all to do with money. And ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake about it. Mostly everything that we are dealing with today has to do with money. So here are some of the key aspects of geopolitical instability. And again, it has to do with money. Political instability. That's one of the ways that geopolitical instability happens. And that has to do, again, with civil unrest, changes in the government leadership, or America or any other entity wanting to change somebody else's government all up in other folks' business, right? That is political instability, and it causes problems in the money markets. And so we don't know what's going to happen in the money markets until tomorrow morning. And I'm going to say in the traditional money markets, we won't know what's going to happen with that until in the morning, because they close down on Friday and they start back on Monday. Whereas cryptocurrency is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the moment those bombs started dropping was the moment that we started to see drops in the cryptocurrency market. Now, had the stock market itself had 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I am almost certain we would have saw some similar things, but we'll see tomorrow. And so when potentially there are shifts in the country's foreign policy or international relationships, that deals with geopolitical instability. and there's also international conflicts. And I've read and talked about international conflicts for many years. And there's a lot of things that happen with money during wars, but nothing like what we're about to see. And some people would say that what we're seeing with Iran is similar to what happened in Iraq. And I kind of beg to differ. I think that things are going to be a little bit more challenging than what we saw happening in Iraq. And so it's not just a little skirmish to me, ladies and gentlemen. I really think that this is a big deal. I think this is bigger than COVID. I think this is bigger than a lot of things. And I think the markets are going to start to show us just how big these things are, which is why, again, I told my family, get out, make sure you got gas, make sure you got food, make sure you got water, because we have no idea what's about to happen. So when geopolitical instability happens, there are trade disputes. We're having trade disputes right now, ladies and gentlemen, with tariffs. So the tariffs and all of the things that disrupt supply chain and increase costs for businesses. Now they said increase costs for businesses, but the bottom line is we wind up paying for that, right? And so it destabilizes economies. And so right now we're having that. So when we talk about geopolitical instability, there's like 6 or 7 things that would give you a clue that we're in that time. And ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm talking about this is because we are in that time. Shifting power dynamics, the rise of new economic powers, and the decline of established ones. And so, as we've been talking about BRICS coming into the new world order, as we talk about people leaving G7, just all of the things that are traditionally in place, the established, or what we thought were the established ones, those things are starting to be disrupted and they're starting to decline. And again, it's a little by little by little, and then all at once. And the formation of these new alliances can lead to a more complex and unpredictable global order. And last but not least is climate change. While not strictly a political event, we talk about climate change. We just had an event, uh, and I know people everywhere are talking about climate change, but it is increasingly recognized as a geopolitical issue and is contributing to resource scarcity, migration, and potential conflicts. And so, right now, we literally are in the middle of all 5 things that cause geopolitical instability. So, what do you do during these times? You make sure that you shore up on the things that you can control. And as you know, I always feel like Bitcoin is one of those things that we can control. We have our own money in our wallets, and we have our own Bitcoin in our wallets, and we're able to do what we want when we want. But what are the impacts of these what is the impact of geopolitical instability for us right now? Economically, is disruptions to trade, investments, supply chains, and again, all of these things work in concert as we are trying to figure out if the gas prices go up, if we've purchased gas before it got an opportunity, we're saving just a little bit of money. Those are things that you can be thinking of and doing right now. We know that there's going to be some increased inflation and market volatility. We're seeing market volatility right now in the cryptocurrency space. Soon to see it in the stock market in tomorrow when the stock market opens. We're going to see what this bombing has done for that. And so there's social instability with geopolitical instability. It exacerbates the existing social tensions. There is social tension like no other right now, leading to increase inequities, migration, and displacement. And so, I gotta say this because I've been watching ICE running around Los Angeles. I've been watching videos of people running from the police. I'm not from the police, from ICE, so that they don't get deported. And I've been watching people on TV talking about how they were just taken down by police officers and beat without any questions asked just because of how they look. And all I can say this morning is welcome to our world. Welcome to our world. We've been dealing with this for a long time. And it almost, I shouldn't say it feels good, but it's almost a relief that somebody else is being targeted a little bit more than we've been targeted in the past. And so these social instabilities and the displacement and the inequities and all of those things are going to affect the bottom line, which is money in some shape, form, or fashion. So, how do you mitigate that? How do you make sure that you are controlling what you have? And really, it's the only thing that you can control, because you can't control social instability. You can control whether you get out and you're protesting, peacefully protesting, or whatever it is that you're doing. But really, you cannot control what other people are feeling and how other people have targeted you and are coming after you. But you can make sure that you have options. And having some money stored up and stored away gives you options. Having some Bitcoin somewhere stored up will give you options, and not necessarily right now, because it's my hopes that you're not utilizing your Bitcoin right now, but rather stacking your Satoshis. You'll be able to control some of the narratives that are going to come your way. One of the other things that geopolitical instability brings and how it impacts our community is security. Conflicts in the political and political unrest can create opportunities for terrorism, organized crime, and other security threats. We already got that going on. We've already seen it. And now this is going to escalate that. And so, a lot of my family members called me and asked me what things should they be looking at. And with my birthday party coming up, I hate to say it, is large groups of folks in places. I don't feel like, big cities are going to have challenges. I think that they're going to be small, isolated incidents to make us be paid back for some of the things that our government are doing. And so when we have those security threats, we got to be on our P's and Q's, really paying attention, but starting with home, starting with your home. Create opportunities where your family knows that there are security threats, and create opportunities for people to know or how to deal with those things within your household if something was to arise, and how you do things, and how you operate, and how you are able to keep your family safe. And I'm just glad that my kids are not in school right now, because I'd be having another conversation. They're home for the summer, and this is going to be a different thing that we're going to have to conquer. But we have to have this dialogue with our kids, with our families, to find out what we do, because there is definitely security risks that are taking place right now. And again, with my family asking me what things do I think they're going to target, I think they're going to be doing one of these EMT events very soon. And I think they're going to do infrastructure, which are things like the ports and our water and our internet and things of that sort. Those are the types of security risks that I think that we face right now immediately, aside of the racism things that are happening. You've always got to know that that tension is there, and that tension is real. And no, this is not the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, but we're in 2025, and the racism is thick, and we've got to pay attention to what's going on around us. And so those will lead to some sort of civil unrest, political unrest, whatever you want to call it. And then the long-term impacts of geopolitical instability can really erode trust between communities, trust between nations, and it can weaken our international institutions, and it can hinder global cooperation. But one thing is for certain: if there is a money that everybody agrees on and can use, that's what they're going to be turning to. So when we talk about Bitcoin and we talk about having gold in our portfolio, those are universal things that will help strengthen international trade and help strengthen international use of monies. And I think that we're going to fare well if we're doing the right thing, little by little, just a little bit at a time. And so we'll talk about that. But the all of these ongoing Russian-Ukraine wars and the impact on global energy markets and food security, the tensions between the United States and China over trade, technology, and in the Middle East, that conflict that we just stepped into, the impact of Brexit on trade and economic relations between the UK and the Europe Union. Ladies and gentlemen, instability is everywhere. And how do you stabilize yourself? How do you sleep well at night? When you've got enough of something saved up that can benefit you in the long run. And so when we look at where we need to be and how we need to move forward, we need to continue to look towards the decentralized market, because no matter what, they are going to control every other market. They're going to dictate every other market. They're dictating what countries do. They're dictating what governments do. They're dictating what the community does. They're dictating who's supposed to report on what. And as quiet as it's kept, there was a blackout for the media about the bombs that were being dropped in Iran yesterday, but the Iranian news outlets leaked it. And so that was what allowed everybody to know. So when we come forward, ladies and gentlemen, after news, sports, and traffic, we'll continue this conversation. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, you guys get to hear commercials today. Because
Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. Vice President J.D. Vance says Iran's nuclear program has taken a severe hit after the U.S. strike on Iranian nuclear sites. Appearing on ABC this week, Vance said the attack does not mean a drawn-out conflict has begun.
Number one, the president, more than anybody, is worried about protracted military conflicts. That is not what we're getting ourselves involved in.
New York and California governors have both announced that they're taking precautions and putting counterterrorism protections in place after the U.S.-Iranian strike. Governor Kathy Hochul said in a statement Sunday that while there are no specific or credible threats, New York has large Jewish and Muslim communities, and that her top priority is safety of New Yorkers. And the National Weather Service is calling the past few days the first significant heat wave of the season. Over 140 million Americans are under the highest level of alerts today. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
all right, y'all. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm on my commercial break, as you can see, and I need to
Find a retailer at Little
try to
Camper
get my equipment up and running. It just will not work today.
It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Linder, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time from Dr. Cordell West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win.
I'm going to see if I can get my equipment up and running now. So bear with me. Thank you for tuning in. Let me see. Nope. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying one more time. See if I can get this thing to work. Nope. All right, I'm gonna have to keep my radio station going. I'm gonna have to keep doing my show. All right, this is me. I tried to log in on the equipment. It is not working, so I'm gonna have to come into the station this week See if I can get that fixed.
Okay.
But I'm back on, and whenever you just let me know, I'm ready.
Okay. Let's see.
I got 2 more minutes, right?
You got one commercial after this one, after the KBLA thank you speech, and
Okay.
Or visit stayhousela.org. Stayhouse LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their home. Stayhouse LA, your rights, your home, our
All right, y'all.
This is a
Thank you for
community call
joining
to
in
action from
today.
KBLA Talk
Technical
1580.
difficulties.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air. But we know it's not as made as this that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you.
All right.
From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support. And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us. You never fell away. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We're getting ready to get started in just a second. All right. Welcome forward. Welcome forward. So as we just wrap up what we were talking about in the geopolitical realm and why and how what just happened yesterday wasn't just military, it was monetary. Bitcoin is still considered to be a speculative asset, ladies and gentlemen, in the eyes of traditional investors. So when bombs drop, they flock to the dollar, to gold, and US Treasury. Ironically, though, Bitcoin was created because of the distrust in the system, but people still have not got that in their heads. But it is still tied to global fear and their fear index. So, and that's what the contradiction is that we're watching right now when we talk about bombs, Bitcoin, and unstable markets. It just does not make sense that you would run to the very thing that has got us to the place that we are in the first place. So here's what's interesting. While Bitcoin tanked during the first few hours after the strike of bombs, analysts noticed relatively stable Bitcoin during the night hours. So why? Because Bitcoin is trading and the activity slows down a little bit and people kind of take a deep breath because they're still scared, but they have to take a deep breath. They have to go to sleep. And so that suggests that volatility wasn't panic driven by retail investors, but rather people that are just trading. So again, Bitcoin is on sale today, just like your favorite purse or your favorite shoes. Bitcoin is on sale. So you might want to, it may even drop a little bit more depending on the next 72 hours and what happens when Iran retaliates against the United States. So just stay tuned for that. But the real cryptocurrency market never sleeps, but it sure does take a nap a little bit on Saturday night, which is when we were using what we were calling the Marshall effect. During the middle of the night on Saturday is when we were buying a little bit of Bitcoin, because we knew that there's a little bit of slowdown during that time. And so it's always been that way for the last couple of years. So this is not the end of everything. We're knowing that the tensions are going to continue, whether it's Iran, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Taiwan or somebody else. We're going to see more snap crashes and short-lived rallies. And so What we need to do is just pay attention and take advantage, continue the dollar cost average, which gets rid of the volatility. And, I just want to make sure that you all are really understanding that it's important that you're paying attention to the markets now more than ever. And especially since we're looking at our wealth and this breeding ground for chaos. And you got to always know to stay calm and just know that you're in the right place at the right time. Since you've been dollar cost averaging, I'm hoping that this isn't something new that I'm telling you, and you've been buying Bitcoin every week or every month or every whenever you're buying Bitcoin, just continue to dollar cost average. And that's how generational wealth is built: slow, steady, and strategic. So, let's see. We are going to look at the price of Bitcoin right now because this is what is happening. We are now, Bitcoin is trading at $99,450. It is down in the last hour 0.33%. In the last 24 hours, it is down 3.73%. And in the last 7 days, it's down 5.68%. Ethereum is at 2,188. It is down 0.43% in the last hour. In the last 24 hours, get this, 9.19%. And in the last 7 days, it's down 14.06%. XRP, on the other hand, is trading at $1.97. And it's down 6.25% in the last 24 hours and down 8.92% in the last 7 days. And I'm going to continue to say to each and every one of you that are very bullish on XRP, this is a big deal what's going on as far as wars are concerned, because XRP is going to be the bank. They're going to work with the banks of all nations. And there's a lot of things tied to XRP and markets all across the world. And so we got to just make sure that we're paying attention to each and every one of those things as we're continuing in altcoins, alternative to Bitcoin. And so if you're one of those individuals that's doing that, please know that this is what's happening in the last 24 hours since these bombs hit. There are just so many different there's so many different cryptocurrencies that are taking, and I'm saying a hit, because you've not lost anything if you haven't sold, and who knows if it's going to go up or it's going to go down with the alternative coin market. But you've really got to really pick wisely right now, and you've really got to pay attention to geopolitical issues. But I'm going to stick with the slow and steady, because I know that it is truly decentralized and no one person or two people or company is in control of what happens in the Bitcoin market. And that's for sure. I want everybody to really pay attention to what these coins are saying they're going to do and what they're designed to do and when they're supposed to do it, because of the geopolitical situations that are going on. Nobody can even really hold to those guidelines because so many things are changing. And ladies and gentlemen, please do not take lightly what happened yesterday, because this is big. It is big news. And when we continue to pay attention, we know what to do for our households. I'm going to constantly say, and I said it early in the broadcast, I'm going to hopefully have time to say it at the end of the broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're on a full tank of gas with all your cars. Make sure that you're fully charged with your cell phones and different things that you're going to need to communicate if there is a power outage. Make sure you've got a generator. Make sure you've got 3 to 6 months of food stored away. That comes with prepping slowly, a little bit. That comes with pre-purchasing. I told you all early on, I'm pre-purchasing. I've been pre-purchasing. And so when this thing happened yesterday, the only thing we had to do was get out and make sure that we had gas in our vehicles because we're ready. We've done the things that we need to do to ensure that our family is safe in the event that a civil unrest happens, in the event that there's some sort of homegrown terrorist act. Like, we don't know what is going to transpire because of this, but we do know that retaliation is going to happen because everybody is on edge and everybody is trying to figure out what to do. And we do know that our Bitcoin is out of the exchanges, off the exchanges, and in our private wallet where we have control, where we control our narrative. And so we may not be able to get out of here as quick as we would like, because I just know biblically, when something happens with Iran, I'm supposed to not even be on this continent. And here I sit, June 22nd, 2025, and there is a conflict happening in Iran with the United States, and I'm still sitting here, which I got family that I'm dealing with. But I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, when it happened, I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, this is 5 years too early, because I need to be someplace else doing something else. But we're here. And so what steps do we take to maintain our stability, our sanity, or maintain our households? And so that's just what it is. And I'm going to continue to get a little bit of Satoshis at a time. I'm going to continue to build and continue to teach everybody else to stack those Satoshis. We need to be dropping Satoshis and not bombs. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, when we come forward, we'll continue the conversation, because something else happened in this United States this week as it relates to Bitcoin specifically. When we come forward, we'll continue the conversation. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
You got you covered. Keep it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Natalie and Andrea and Angela. Hello to everybody. I am working from my cell phone today because technical difficulties happened.
Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA84 Foundation's free Playdate block party.
Gotta listen to my commercials today because I can't hear my engineer, so bear with me.
But did you know that Black adults age 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce the risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind.
I definitely have to get my blood pressure under control. I was in the hospital this week with an astronomical blood pressure. Getting ready for my birthday party. I got to get it together so I can show up at my party. So, taking my medicine, checking my blood pressure, not letting my kids get under my skin. But I am really taking my health seriously. So I just want to say thank you for your prayers. I didn't even share on social media that I was in the hospital this weekend. This Thursday night in ER with a blood pressure of 230 over 178 or something crazy. So they had to bring it down and give me some Benadryl to help me so I don't have any side effects from the medication that they gave me to bring my blood pressure down. So just really taking it easy. And then things like yesterday happened, right? But I feel really good that I'm prepared, and I'm hoping that you all are preparing too. So. All right.
Okay, Ms. Najah, after this commercial, we're on.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so I'm back on after this commercial. I'm doing this from my cell phone, as you see. So next week I'll probably wind up in studio. So because my equipment's not working.
We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruz-news.com. That's calcruznews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today. Now let's get back to Ahead of the Crypto Curve with Najah Roberts on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, welcome forward, welcome forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, some other critical things happened in the Bitcoin space this week. Texas became the third state to actually have a Bitcoin reserve. Now, y'all know I it. And as you know, they made these HBCUs are very hard to penetrate. You got to go into different board of directors, trustees, and things of that sort, presidents, to even get this implemented. But Texas is the third state to actually put Bitcoin in their strategic reserve or have a Bitcoin reserve. But Texas is the first state out of the three to commit public funds to this standalone Bitcoin reserve, aiming to treat Bitcoin as a long-term strategic asset. If Texas can do it, ladies and gentlemen, why can't we? Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a Senate Bill 21, which is SB 21, officially authorizing the creation of a Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, a state-managed fund that will hold Bitcoin as a part of the state's long-term financial assets. That's all we've been trying to get our community to do, is put a Bitcoin strategic reserve in your household. This newly established reserve for Texas is independently operated. It operates independently of Texas General Treasury System. So they have a General Treasury System, and then they now have this Bitcoin reserve, and it aims to strengthen the state's financial resilience while serving as a potential hedge against inflation. How many times have you heard that? According to what's in the bill. Now, for our community, shouldn't we be having our very own Bitcoin reserves as a hedge against inflation? We don't need to ask anybody's permission. We don't have to go to a board of directors. You don't have to go to the president of a company. You don't have to go to the president of the school you graduated from. Ladies and gentlemen, you can have your own Bitcoin reserve, your strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is strategy. We are no longer playing chess. So I told y'all to move from playing chess to move to checkers. Then I told you it's time to move to game theory. We are in game theory. The only assets with market capitalization exceeding 500 billion are eligible for inclusion right now, and that is Bitcoin. That is Bitcoin. Ladies and gentlemen, the threshold currently met only by Bitcoin. The only asset with market capitalization exceeding 500 billion. And Bitcoin is now eligible for inclusion. That is a big deal. I don't even know what else to say, but I'm really hoping that each and every one of you are stacking your Satoshis. So in Texas, this fund is going to be administered by the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts and guided by an advisory committee of 3 crypto investment professionals. You can do the exact same thing. It is time for us to mimic and mirror these Bitcoin reserves, because this is the third one, but Texas is the first one that's going to be using public funds to do it. You can use your own funds to get this done, a little by little, and then all at once you have a whole Bitcoin. So start off with your million Satoshis, buy another million. Now, granted, you're going to need 100 million of those million to get one Bitcoin, but as the price drops, you buy a little bit more. You get a little bit more Bitcoin under your belt, and you continue to buy, and you build your own Bitcoin reserve that you can trust, that you can hold the keys to. Do not leave it on Coinbase. Do not leave it on Cash App. Do not leave it on any platform, ladies and gentlemen. You need to make sure that you have your own wallet. And so, with that being stated, with them becoming the third U.S. state to approve this Bitcoin reserve into law, Arizona and New Hampshire are the other states that have it. I wish California would get a Bitcoin reserve. I don't know what they're going to do, but there are companies that are leading adoption. And again, they're not saying they have an XRP reserve. They're saying they have a Bitcoin reserve. They're not saying they have a Tether reserve. They have a Bitcoin reserve. Ladies and gentlemen, a rising number of publicly traded firms are adopting Bitcoin as treasury assets, because they're actually mimicking something that Michael Saylor was doing with his strategy. And Bitcoin is going to do well. Bitcoin is going to be one of the last ones standing. I don't know if the cryptocurrencies that you're purchasing are going to be left standing. When I invest in anything other than Bitcoin, I am doing it because I support that mission, not because I expect it to do well 10, 15, 20 years down the line, because the only one that I think will still be standing is Bitcoin. And so, with that stated, ladies and gentlemen, when we come forward, we'll continue the conversation. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
You're linked to the Midday Money Chain with Lynn Richardson and Najah Roberts exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Do you owe $10,000 or
All
more in
right.
credit card debt or
We
personal
are
loans?
going, we're
With
on our
credit card debt
commercial
at
break,
all-time
so bear
highs,
with me.
Debt Relief Advocates is urgently
I don't have my
notifying
headset and
consumers of debt relief now being
my
made available to
equipment today
aid
because it's
consumers with out-of-control
not
credit card
working.
debt.
So
Those
I
who
got to hear my
qualify and enroll
engineer
for
through
this
the
relief
phone. So
program will only
please.
have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets.
All right, just bear with me through this commercial. We're going to come back on and we're going to knock this thing out for the day. And I'm going right to Costco's to get some additional water and a few more canned goods and some of the things that these kids eat in here, because we have 30 seconds. Thank you. No, you're good. You're good. Because we don't know what is coming. So we just got to be aware and on top of it. So
To the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from Nietzsche and the Echo. We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Go back to KBLA Talk 1580.
all right. All right. Welcome forward. Welcome forward. And let me take this time to say happy 4th anniversary to KBLA Talk 1580. I am so proud to be a part of the KBLA family, teaching ahead of the crypto curve. And I know that there are a lot of celebrations going on this week for Juneteenth. I was in the hospital, was unable to attend, but I'm doing well. I'm fine. And I'm just wanting to say happy anniversary to KBLA. But ladies and gentlemen, let's kind of make sure that you know what you need to be doing during the next 72 hours. Reassess your risk tolerance. If the world news shakes you as it relates to money, that means you're overexposed. That means you have too much money in one place and not in enough places spread across different asset classes. Set up some alerts so that you're not moving off of emotion. Let the data move you, not the fear. And so that's really important that you do that. And you continue to educate yourself. This isn't just finance, this is financial survival. Cryptocurrency and Bitcoin may have taken a hit this weekend, which I always say Bitcoin is on sale. So this is time for us to buy more. You buy in the dips. Let's remember, this is the same asset class that has outpaced traditional stocks for the last decade, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the right place at the right time. When the world panics, we prepare for profit. When the world panics, we prepare for profit. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please get out, get yourself some water, fill up your cars, make sure you got some non perishable goods at the house. And I just want to make sure that you are staying safe, that you stay smart, that you stay ahead of the crypto curve. You can catch a replay of this show on YouTube or Instagram, one of those. But um, also, my birthday party is coming up in 2 weeks here in the city of Inglewood. You are all welcome to come out and join with me. You need to go to the City of Inglewood Music Fest and put in my initials to my name, NJR, and I'll be 55, so NJR 55, and register. That gets you a seat in my VIP space for my birthday. Super excited about that. Looking forward to having you all there. If you haven't gotten my book, there's chances to win my book, talking about the Queens of Crypto. At my birthday party, I'm going to be drawing names and giving out books and signing and just enjoying myself, really continuing to educate my community in the cryptocurrency space. So if you're in Inglewood on July 5th, 2025, come holla at your girl. Thank you for rocking with me here on Ahead of the Crypto Curve, where we are giving information that is detrimental to our lives in the cryptocurrency space. Have an incredible rest of your week. Peace and blessings, fam.
You're listening to Najah Roberts on Ahead of the Crypto Curve. Please
All
follow
right,
us on
y'all.
all social media platforms at Najah Roberts. No underscores, no dots, no numbers, just Najah Roberts. Let's go the wealth gap. It's our turn. Learn or get left behind.